Game maker Ubisoft has had a bad year. That is undeniable. And that year is about to get even worse, potentially, with Assassin's Creed Shadows. In the last 30 days, Ubisoft has suffered the serious underperformance of game sales for newly released Star Wars Outlaws, licensed from Disney Lucasfilm. That game has been a mess. And one of the things that Wall Street analysts were looking forward to was Assassin's Creed Shadows. As of right now, still slated to come out November 15th, just about a month and a half from now. But news today, coming from several sources, are seeming to indicate that that date may now be in question. And this could have dire implications for the financial future of Ubisoft, which right now is teetering on the brink. Renegade Online. All right, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many watching this video, not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon for the live shows right here on Valiant Renegade, 6 p.m. Eastern. And look, we got Stuttering Craig here from SideScrollers, and he's got his own live shows that you guys go off at every day, Monday through Friday, right?
Yep, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. We are live for a couple hours, filling you in on all the insanity in the video game and entertainment world.
And we got some today. This story, Ubisoft, and you and I have had conversations about this, a lot of the gaming space on YouTube, and it's even bled over into my space, where we're typically covering Hollywood stuff, but Ubisoft has had a rough year. They have delayed several games. Wall Street analysts, both here in the U.S. and abroad, we've seen analyst reports from places like Barclays out of London in the U.K. We've seen Financial Times. It's just on and on and on. A lot of investors are nervous about Ubisoft, but along came Star Wars Outlaws, and it looks like, we're about 30 days into that game. And as you said on this show, about a month and a half ago, that the pre-sales for Star Wars Outlaws before it came out looked rather dire. And it looks like your information was pretty good. So
my sources are good. My sources are good. And you know what my sources tell me? Mm-hmm. The actual sales are worse than the pre-sales.
Wow.
Since it's been released, I have so my retailer, they have access to over 900 stores at a big box store, big box retailer. And the Star Wars Outlaws pre-sales were not good by any means. And there was reports of them, being 55% lower. I think they're actually considerably lower than that based off of the expectations.
You're talking about 55% lower was the report, 55% lower than Jedi Survivor in the UK. Right. Jedi Outlaws, correct. And they put major money behind Outlaws. And since it's been released, he said in one of the stores in the last 30 days, they sold less than 10 copies of the game. Wow.
So,
yikes. Yeah, it really is. And what's important to note about Outlaws for the people watching is that it plays directly into the story from the business and the financial side of things for Ubisoft, because it seems like those same Wall Street analysts and the big institutional investors were, as that game was being released, Star Wars Outlaws, they were very wary of the game sales, and they started radically adjusting their projections for sales for that game to the point where even one analyst was thinking they might not sell 5 million copies of Star Wars Outlaws by the end of Ubisoft's fiscal year, which is April 1st of 25, which right. That's how bad it is. And in that report, they'd also suggested that one of these analysts were saying that basically with the fallout, no pun intended, of Star Wars Outlaws, that means that in order for Ubisoft to meet its financial goals, its projections that they restated recently, and make the type of top-line revenues and profits that they projected for the full fiscal year ending March 31st of next year, that means that Assassin's Creed Shadows, the next game coming up, that is still, as of this moment, set for release November 15th, although that may be changing. We're going to discuss that in a minute. Stay tuned, because this is going to be serious if this happens. They would need about 13 to 14 million copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows sold basically at full retail for full price before the end of the year for Ubisoft to meet its financial projections. And now, Craig, so we got the website, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let's just put that up for everybody. This is what we're talking about. But the first thing that we got with Assassin's Creed Shadows was we were told, right, that this is a game in the Assassin's Creed universe. It takes place in feudal Japan, and they unveiled the primary character, the hero samurai of Japan, who was going to come in and, well, we're going to get, no, oops, wait, what?
Yep. Didn't quite get what a lot of people thought they were going to get. So this has been very interesting. A huge controversy around this game, to say the least.
Yeah, and, this is Yasuke, a guy who carried Nobunaga's tools briefly.
Don't you? What are you, a historian, Valiant? Do you think do you know what you're talking about? What's your deal? Try to revise history over here, Valiant.
Well, Craig, now this obviously. This obviously caused a lot of problems, right? Tell me about the gaming community. What was the response? Kind of give us a quick synopsis on the history of what happened after this was revealed and some of the backlash.
Okay, so I think everybody needs to understand that everybody in the gaming space knows that Assassin's Creed is a video game, and everybody knows that there's going to be some sort of creative license paid to it. But one thing that Assassin's Creed has always done is they've always tried to be genuine as far as the main protagonist in the game and their origin, at least the origin of where they're from, right? So if you have, let's just say, in theory, you had somebody from Egypt, you'd have an Egyptian as your protagonist, right? Well, in this situation, there's been a lot of, I would say, revisionist history when it comes to the main character and their role in feudal Japan. And there wasn't a whole lot of black guys out there being samurais. And not that anybody has any problem with black guys being samurais, but it's just not in feudal Japan when it happened, right?
I love this. Become a legendary samurai. This is from the official Assassin's Creed page. And there's your legendary 6'2" giant black guy samurai, because that's what everybody thinks of when they think of feudal Japan. All right, so
looking like a linebacker out there. It's great.
Right. He can really sneak around a bunch of 5 foot tall Japanese guys back in 1500s. I'm sure that's going to be great. Japanese consultant used by Ubisoft, and this was part of the problem, and the New York Times went to attack gamers over Assassin's Creed Shadows. Apparently, he was a former Sweet Baby Inc. employee, and I think we all know what we're talking about here. The DEI consultants, the warriors of woke, the people who prove time and time again that woke make broke. And we may see it here. And they really went after, well, guys like you, Craig, and anybody who dared to comment on this situation where, look, the gameplay itself might be fine, but visually, this is ridiculous looking, and we know why you guys did it. We know what this is about. Checking boxes, cheap virtue signaling. It got worse. Ubisoft used this image. Basically, that destroyed gate is very, very, very close of a replica of a very famous memorial in Nagasaki, Japan, where an atomic bomb exploded some years ago. This doesn't seem to have gone over well with Japanese audiences, but that brings us to the crux.
Well, it hasn't gone over with anybody good. I think that's the most amazing thing about it is that you would think with all these historical people, with all these historians who have been consultants on your games, you would think they'd be like, yeah, so I just think it probably wouldn't be a good idea to do that. And there's a larger issue that is really spurred up over the last couple weeks. I know we're going to get into them canceling their appearance, and this sounds so stupid because the first time I heard this, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But when you break it down to it, there's this thing called toxic positivity, and it's rampant in the gaming space. And what's happened at Ubisoft is the same thing that's happened at many other companies along the way. Specifically, what happened with a little game called Concord that was the biggest failure possibly in entertainment history. But
Yep.
people don't say no. Everything is great. No. It's so great. I love working in video games. It's awesome.
Right.
And management is afraid to say no to people. And thus we have this toxic positivity where everything is wonderful.
Well, you look at the people they hire, right? In this day and age, it's the younger crowd, the one that you would expect should be more in tune with gaming. But the problem is they seem to be more in tune with their own personal social satisfaction, the church of me, right?
Oh, sure.
So where it's going to be like, you can't tell me I'm doing something wrong that'll hurt my feelings. Management, I guess, is so afraid to correct these kids a lot of times because they'll walk out and quit, maybe, or they're going to sue them.
They don't want to be called an istophobe, whatever.
An istophobe. You're telling me that I'm wrong because I'm trans, I'm gay, I'm black, I'm whatever. Fill in the blank.
Right.
This is the problem. This is the real problem with the DEI culture: is the toxic environment that it puts into corporate America. And it paralyzes them. And it's now to the point, Craig, where we got this. And, I'm not as familiar with these things, so that's why I wanted to kind of bring you in for this one. Ubisoft has apparently canceled an online appearance at a Tokyo game show. This was the first piece of news to drop today, but it wasn't the last. And we'll get to the next one. But the Tokyo game show, what is this, Craig? How big a deal is this?
So I've been to the Tokyo Game Show a couple times in my career, and anything that you think is big in the United States, multiply that times 4. Tokyo Game Show is the Super Bowl of video games for Japan, and Japan is a massive audience for video games, right? So
yeah,
when you
especially one that takes place in feudal Japan, I would imagine.
Correct, and that's the thing that you've heard consistently from Ubisoft is no. These people, everybody complaining, this is just stupid racist Americans who are going into Google Translate and translating their qualms with what we have into Japanese and posting it under the Ubisoft Japan YouTube channel or X account or whatever, right? And
that's what this was about, right? That's
right.
What this was about. All of the criticism for Assassin's Creed, all the criticism for Yasuke saying that he wasn't really a samurai. He wasn't, folks. He wasn't. There's no evidence of that anywhere. All that criticism was basically review bombing. It was fake. It was fugazi. It was whatever. Yeah. It was, they did Google Translate. They weren't really Japanese people. And now, apparently, like I said, Ubisoft has got such a popular game on their hands for the Japanese audiences that they have canceled their entire appearance at the Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah,
everything, which takes place like in a couple of weeks, and the game comes out in less than 60 days.
Correct.
We think as of now.
This is ultimate egg on their face at this point. The idea of, and look, it's the Japanese love this idea. What are you talking about? So why would you cancel this? This is Ubisoft's biggest swing of the year, and they've had some big swings this year.
Yeah,
between Skull and Bones, which was the first quadruple A video game, which was a massive swing and a miss. Talked about Star Wars Outlaws, and this,
X-Defiant.
Yeah, X-Defiant, yes, a free-to-play Call of Duty killer, which came and went like a fart in the wind. And we have this now, where this was supposed to be the big showcase. The big showcase.
This is their franchise. Like this is Final Fantasy for SquareSoft or Square Enix now, right? This is Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft.
This is Mario. This is Mario's to Nintendo. This this is a major franchise for this company. And once again, for a company to say no, everybody in Japan loves it. Well, if your game is that good and that ready, why not be ready to show it off? And it's very alarming.
This is stunning because in one of the biggest venues they would have, they have completely pulled out of this. And this is coming from Insider Gaming. Ubisoft has canceled its scheduled appearance. In a statement released by Ubisoft Japan, we regret to inform you. Now this is truly, let me tell you what, Craig, in the business world, the more vague that you are with your reasoning, typically speaking, the worse things are. That is true in corporate pablum. I can tell you right now, the more vague you are, the more problems you have. We regret to inform you, says Ubisoft Japan, that due to various circumstances, we've decided to due to various circumstances. That's it. Various circumstances. That is, I'm like, what does that even mean?
Due to various circumstances, Valiant, our company is about to go under.
Yeah.
How's that, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? They tipped their hat again. And we're being serious here. Ubisoft is in some deep shit. Let's just be frank. Not only did they pull out of the Tokyo show, Tom Henderson, also from Insider Gaming, reported about an hour later that he further is adding to his story that Ubisoft has canceled the press previews of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Again, a game that releases in less than 60 days, a game that is a make or break for Ubisoft as a company. What is the press previews? What are we talking about here with this, Craig?
So when you go to a preview, what they'll do is so I've been to multiple, and they're done multiple different ways, right? Sometimes they invite you out for a day. Sometimes they invite you out for a weekend. And the idea is that they want to put you in a controlled environment to where they can give you the best optimal setup for you to experience the game. To where sometimes it's in a hotel room, sometimes it's in a banquet hall, sometimes it's in a suite, whatever. I've been to some where they wine and dine you. It is posh. It is all access, everything you want. You have access to the developers. You can ask questions, things like that. And the idea is, though, it's meant to be a controlled environment. And if they are not confident in their game at this point to where they're not able to present you with a product in a very controlled environment this close to the game being released, yikes. That's legitimately frightening to hear.
We're in disaster zone. And I wanted to verify because, again, he put the story out suggesting that, or saying definitively that Ubisoft is out when it comes to the Tokyo Game Expo, a game that was literally built in large respects for Japan.
Yeah.
And is now pulling out of the biggest Japanese game show that there is less than 2 months before this game releases. There are no press previews for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those have been canceled. Earlier today, Ubisoft canceled the online appearance in Tokyo due to various circumstances. Assassin's Creed Shadows now press previews that were scheduled to take place next week. Those are gone. The embargo lifting, everything, that is all gone now too. Now, to be clear, for people asking, because I had questions, I said, now wait a minute, I don't want to misconstrue this. Is this just a press preview that was related to the Tokyo event and no press previews in Japan? Indeed, I asked Tom Henderson on X, was this just the press kits for Japan related to that expo, or all press kits worldwide? Tom Henderson says definitively, everyone worldwide. All press kits everywhere for this game, or the press events for this game, have been 86'd.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I've talked about my insider many times who, talk about it. There's a tweet that I had about 3 weeks ago talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows and their pre-order numbers. And this is 3 weeks ago. And I realized that numbers will go higher as we get closer.
Sure.
But take this for what it is. So my insider told me that between their 900 stores that they have access to, Assassin's Creed Shadow has less than 800 pre-orders combined for PlayStation 5 and Xbox, which,
and that was about a month ago now. Was that around the same
3 weeks ago?
Yep, around the same time we talked about Outlaws, I think it was. Yeah.
Right. So once again, it's less than one pre-order per store. And as I've talked to my insider, it has not gone up a lot since then. It is, and I just feel like people talk about how the online world isn't real. I get it, right? And there will be normies that go buy Assassin's Creed Shadow because it says Assassin's Creed on the box.
Yeah.
But people who are in this space, who are gamers, who spend their days and their extra time playing video games, and that is their passion, their passion hobby, whatever it may be, they're not going out and buying this because they see what's happening to their favorite franchises. And you're right. This is the last pitch for Ubisoft right now. And because their company, when you look at their stock prices, man, their stock price, you go back 5 years, it's down 80%.
Yeah,
You know,
roughly
since it's-
80%. They peaked out at a little over $80 a share back in 2021. We've covered this. And we know now that there have been some suggestions of private equity firms that are trying to push to step in. Yves Guillemot and his family that own about 13% of the company itself, the CEO of Ubisoft in France. There is a push to take it private. If I'm a private equity lender right now, and this news has not really hit Wall Street yet, this is probably going to hit tomorrow. I would not be surprised if I wake up in the morning and I check the financial trades and look at what's going on with news with Ubisoft. This should worry Wall Street very, very much with this game, because this seems to be a clear indication that this game, the next logical step after this, after you cancel a major event at the largest game expo in Japan, and then you cancel all of your press events, the biggest pieces of marketing that you have for a game before its release have been canceled or delayed indefinitely, and we're 45 days or so before release. If I'm an investor, I'm looking at this right now and I'm going, this game is about to get seriously delayed. There's no way that we are meeting financial projections. And again, I'm speculating. I don't have any inside information from Ubisoft on that. I'm going to make that very, very clear to the people out there listening to me. I'm reading the tea leaves. If these reports are correct, and we have no reason to say that they're not, and I think that if these reports were not correct, they have now been out for 5 or 6 hours. They've gone all over the internet. You would presume that Ubisoft would have made a statement by now to say, no, that's not true. We're still going here. We're still doing the... It's not. So this is true. The next step is to delay this game. And at that point, if you think $11 a share for Ubisoft right now is dirt cheap, hold on to your butts.
Well, I'll tell you this. What should scare everybody the most about this is they released an official gameplay trailer about a month ago. Mm-hmm. And in that gameplay trailer, there is no combat. There's just a 30 seconds of maybe moving around from rooftop to rooftop, but there's no combat at all, right? Everything that they've been, yes, everything at this point has been very scripted, very cinematic, and there's nothing that's been just shown as a raw gameplay. That's the biggest red flag of everything. In Japan at Tokyo Game Show, this should be in their minds. What should be happening is Japanese gamers everywhere raising Yves Guillemot on their shoulders, going, Ubisoft, yeah, it is Assassin's Creed. And in reality, it's nothing, none of that. It's never going to have the opportunity to.
It's so bad, Craig. They canceled the appearance. I cannot stress how bad that is. I mean, it's one thing. It's like, well, we might not get the reception we'd hope. This tells me that Ubisoft is actually afraid of showing up at that major event, the biggest stage they have for this game right now, and getting utterly humiliated by the audience, either not showing up, jeering at them in the crowds, not cheering, but jeering and booing, and God knows what else. I think Ubisoft looked at this and said, this is going to look really bad if we get the kind of reception that we really think we're going to get right now. Let's just skip it. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.